Okay, so what we're going to talk about is the idea of curves. So let's take a look at the curves adjustment layer. So get to it the same way that you would get to any of the other adjustment layers. Go ahead and go to curves. And it can look a little confusing, but what I want to do is just give you a brief understanding of what curves is doing. So you have the histogram, the same way that you have the histogram in levels or anything else. But I want to show what this line is really telling you. So this line is telling you where your whites are. So I could simply move this over and it's replacing all the whites with these new whites, and you can see it gets brighter. But what happens is if I drag this down, it's replacing the whites with black. So as I move this down, the whites go away and it gets closer to black. The same way that if I move the black slider over to the right, it's replacing all the blacks now with in here, so it gets darker. The same way if I bring this up in the opposite way of the whites, as I bring the black up, you can see the black is being replaced by whites. Right? So that's the general understanding of curves. And on the base level, we'll get into some coloring with curves. But for the base idea of what you're really looking at to make adjustments is you can move these over, absolutely, and you can make adjustments here. But what I want to show you is if you do a simple thing called an S curve, you can really make some really nice adjustments really kind of easy. So what you're doing is you're making adjustments in this kind of quadrant, this these quarter adjustments. You can also grab midtones, right, and drag those around as well. And you can see it puts a dot on there every time I just grab this and move it around. If you ever don't like where you've adjusted, just simply grab that dot and drag it to the outside and it'll go away. So here's what I want you to look at, right? So we're going to make an adjustment here, and then we're going to make another quarter adjustment here. And so what we have is we have this S that's here. It's called an S curve adjustment, which is really what you're kind of looking for when you make an adjustment. So now I can grab this midtone and kind of move it around and decide where I want to go. And very easily, unlike with levels, I've made this S curve and I've made my color, I've made my adjustment. This deals with brightness and contrast. This deals with lightness and darkness, all within the first window that's here. And in a couple tutorials, we'll get to the idea of, okay, let's go into the red, green, blue and see what we can do with color. So at the moment, we're going to stop there, and that's the basic understanding of curves.